Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, here to help you with some waiver wire options as far as pitchers go entering week 9 of the fantasy baseball season. So let's start out with a rookie who was all the rave, a hot pickup just a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden everyone just forgot about him or dropped him like he was hot when he wasn't because of 2 bad starts, which was an overreaction. Okay, so I'm talking about George Kirby of the Seattle Mariners. This is a guy that, well, he wasn't Logan Gilbert-esque, at least not to that level, but he had 2 really good outings to start the season, and all of a sudden he gets hit kind of hard, 2 outings, and everyone's dropping him. He was available, or actually still is available, in more than half of fantasy leagues. Overreaction because guess what? Next start, he had the Baltimore Orioles, blanked them for 6 scoreless innings. Next up, he gets the Texas Rangers, which is also one of the lesser offenses in the American League. So you still have time to scoop him up and start him, possibly, if you get this in time for that start. Kirby is a guy, he's going to pound the strike zone. And that's something that you actually like from a pitcher. His walk rate is in the 98th percentile. And this is a rookie pitcher. If there's something rookie pitchers are known for, it's not mastering control of the strike zone. Sometimes he will get hit a little bit, but you know what? He's more often than not going to force teams to beat him. Sometimes it'll happen, but for the most part, this is the type of pitcher, kind of a throwback to those 90s pitchers like Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux. George Kirby is a guy you do want long-term. Seattle is a pretty good park for a pitcher. He's got a lot of talent surrounding him. I think George Kirby is going to be a keeper long-term, and this year, you probably want him on your roster. So if he's been dropped in your league, now's the time to add him. Now, another young pitcher that I want to talk about is Brady of the Royals. So Singer is somebody who has put up decent, but kind of mediocre fantasy results the last 2 years, kind of bounced up and down. We know this is a pitcher who had a good college career at Florida. He's a sinker first pitcher, so what he really does is induce a lot of soft contact, a lot of ground balls, right? High ground ball rate, but not necessarily getting a ton of Ks, being on a team that's not going to get you a ton of wins. And so for fantasy purposes, he was just kind of a streamer once in a while, but nothing to get excited about. His walk rate this year has been excellent, only 4%, but his K rate has also gone up. So he's decided to incorporate a change-up a little bit more often, 10% of the time. He was always just a 2-pitch pitcher, right? Sinker, slider, that's it. And this slider was not dynamic, not one of the better sliders in the game that's generating a ton of whiffs. But now that he's mixing things up a little bit and that sinker has been even better this year, he's missing more bats. Okay, maybe not ever going to get to like a 30% K rate or anything, but he is viable and he's had a couple of good strong starts lately. So with the park factor in Kauffman Stadium being what it is, Stinger's a guy who could string together a lot of quality starts this year. So he's somebody I'm definitely interested in. He's available in a lot of leagues right now, so he's somebody you might want to consider because he looks like he's going to stay up for the duration of the season. All right, now before I talk about my next pitcher from a bad team, it occurs to me now, this will be, I think, the 3rd time I've recommended a different starting pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, there's a reason for that, right? These pitchers who are on lesser teams, that's who's available on the waiver wire. The good pitchers and good teams, guess what? They're already rostered somewhere. All right, so let's talk about JT Brubaker, who is only 5% rostered in Yahoo leagues right now. But you know what? If you look at how he's performed lately, he should be on teams. He has had an excellent month of May, a rough start to the season, no question about that. But over the last month of May, a 2.63 ERA, 1.28 whip, and he's striking out over a batter per inning, 29 Ks in 27 1/3 innings. All right, so Brubaker has the strikeout stuff that you want. He's put together strong start after strong start. He does have the benefit of playing in the NL Central, which is not one of the better offensive divisions. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the benefit of hitting or pitching against his own offense in Pittsburgh. That would help. He's still going to get to face teams like the Reds, who've been terrible, and the Cubs. Milwaukee's offense is hurting, so Brubaker could continue his success. I'm not saying he's going to finish with that kind of ratio on the end of the season. I'm not expecting ERA, below 3. Again, there's really no reason to argue against him other than the fact that he's for Pittsburgh. No, not going to get up a lot of wins for you, but especially if you're in a quality start league, he's definitely somebody to add. All right, closer time. Now, not usually a lot of closers freely available on the waiver wire, but for some reason Tanner Rainey is. I'm not sure. Again, Washington maybe not contending for the crown this year, but every major league team is going to get some saves. They have to come from somewhere. Rainey is the guy right now in Washington that doesn't really seem to be in dispute. He's got 2 saves this past week alone. He's pitched a really good ERA of 2.35. It's a guy who's basically built to be a closer. He throws 96. He's got experience from the past. He's always had a high strikeout rate. So I'm not sure what's missing here. Maybe people just not sold on him because he doesn't have the resume of getting multiple 30-plus save seasons, but he's doing it right now. He's doing it well. So if you're in need of some saves, Tanner Rainey might just be floating out there for some reason. Now I want to talk about a pair of exciting young pitchers. Now again, always a disclaimer here with rookie pitchers. You're going to have those ups and downs. So take them with a grain of salt, right? Don't overreact to those good or bad starts, as I mentioned earlier with Kirby. All right, but let's start with Matthew Liberatore from the St. Louis Cardinals, a really tall lefty. You know what? He's not going to be a guy who blows away the other hitters with his heat, but he's got a nice 4-pitch mix. Like, this is a high-end prospect that they got from Tampa, and we know Tampa knows how to scout and develop pitching, and now he's finally up. Got called up at the same time as Nolan Gorman, which is something because they've been friends from way back. So it looks like he could stick for at least a little while because Steven Matz, their other lefty, is on the IL. I'm not sure how long that'll last. He'll get a chance now to prove what he can do at the major league level. Really young, getting 22 years old, so we'll see how he goes. First start was not that great, but his last time out, 5 scoreless innings. Probably won't get stretched out too long. That's the thing with a young pitcher like this who also has had injuries in the past. Probably not going to go more than 5 innings for a lot of his outings. But definitely the talent there makes him interesting. So if you're in a deeper league, and especially if you're in a league that has keepers, you want to keep an eye on him. And then finally, I want to talk about one of my Marlins, and this is definitely an exciting pitcher. So let's talk about Edward Cabrera, who was just called up to start first leg of a doubleheader, and that game actually just wrapped up as I speak, and he did pretty well. All right, so Colorado has a decent offense this year. Well, Edward Cabrera held them to 1 hit over 6 innings and no runs scored. All right, only 1 hit. He did walk 4 batters, but he also struck out 9. I'd say that's pretty good. All right, again, that's one start. You know, he's had a couple issues in the past when he has had his cup of coffee. But look, this is a guy with immense arm talent. He is a flamethrower. He averages 97 miles per hour on his fastball. He's topped the 100 mark 9 different times already. So this is somebody that you definitely have some interest in if you need Ks. It's not going to be all, you know, peaches and roses and flowers and all those things. But he is somebody who will have some strong starts. And again, just for the K potential alone, you've got to be interested. Marlins Park, a great pitcher's atmosphere. And again, the Marlins have had success, I'd say, with several young pitchers. So Edward Cabrera, definitely worth an ad almost anywhere. All right, those are my recommendations as far as pitchers on the waiver wire for week 9. Check out the hitter version of this as well. If you're into fantasy football, we have a lot of that as well. Chris and I talk about draft sleepers at every position, guys you want to target to get you ready for the upcoming season.